The effect fat acceptance is having on kids. By Think Before You Sleep. I've only always looked at fat acceptance with adults. This probably does have some decent effect on kids, because likely the parents are probably overweight too. Kids, if you can't lose weight, you'll feel better.
Britain's in the grip of an epidemic. A third of our children are now overweight or obese, and thousands have such bad diets that they're having...
A third? A third? Goddamn, man.
...to undergo major surgery.
It can be prevented 100%. As a society, we have become accepting of it, and we shouldn't be. We should say, this is wrong.
Correct. This is wrong. Obesity is a major problem, and I'm tired of grifters who constantly say, think of the children, while ignoring the catastrophic effect that things like saying, health at every size, is having on many impressionable kids.
You mean just like right now? You mean just like right now, where they want mass governmental control and surveillance to protect the kids? How about you protect the kids from dying of obesity?
Who now aren't paying attention to their health. And it also enables hedonistic ideologies like this.
I like to just have an easy life. I think everybody likes an easy life.
Or we get more people who are stuck not knowing what to do, because the body positivity grifters are drowning out all the people who are actually knowledgeable about how to resolve these situations by calling everything hate speech or fat phobic.
I would rather she didn't have any fizzy drinks. But that's easier said than done with a kid.
The answer to this is really simple. Just don't pay for it. What's she going to do? She does.
Just don't buy it. What's she gonna do? Cry? Dude, you're the parent. The kid has zero power. None. Not a little bit. Nothing. The kid eats what you buy it, what you feed it. The kid drinks what you give it to drink. So if there's just water, then there's just water. What is that kid gonna do? Die? Starve? I don't think so.
Doesn't have a job. I'm not sure if these parents know this or not, but kids can't afford anything. So if you don't buy it, they can't eat it. It's really that easy if you don't want a kid with a weight problem.
I think the parents are to blame for overweight children, but they have to be helped.
Right. The parents are the ones who buy the food.
The parents are, for most parenting issues, oftentimes, yes, the parents are absolutely at fault.
The parents are the ones who set the boundaries, and the parents are the ones who teach their kids most of their behaviors. What I don't like is all of the avoidance of how important proper parenting is to these issues, while instead, the mainstream narrative is to just start lying to people by saying being massively overweight is healthy. Like this 2021 article from Cosmo about body positivity that says, "This is healthy" with Jessamine Stanley.
This is not healthy. I can see her stretch marks. And these stretch marks are not from getting a lot of muscle. This is not healthy. Most certainly not. Most definitely not. No. No. No, it's not. I was formerly fat. I don't like being fat. I know what's healthy and what's not healthy. This isn't. Also on the other extreme of being underweight.
No, it's not. And what I don't get is that if they really want to talk about body positivity, then why isn't this person who has an actual disability and has actually accomplished something the first person we see? Why do I have to scroll way down in the article to find this woman? Or what about this person in a wheelchair? Why isn't she the first woman we see? Isn't body positivity supposed to be about people who are victim to unfortunate situations? Why is Callie Thorpe, a person whose bad habits put her in that shape, the first person we see? This is not healthy. This is a high...
How the fuck can you write this is healthy? How are we... man.
high risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. And you know what the real problem is? It's that all this stuff is trickling down to children.
A third of our children are now overweight or obese.
It's very rare to see fat children with thin parents.
1/3 of kids in the UK are overweight or obese. That's crazy. And it's not any better in America either. Look at these CDC numbers for obesity. 20%, which is...
I was that rare case. My parents have always been a little more on the fatter side. I'm gonna say it the way it is. I wasn't. I was actually the exact opposite. For me, I was underweight until 13, 14, and then reached like normalcy. And then I got fat after my breakup.
Similar to current obesity numbers in the UK. That's 1 in 5 kids who are obese, which in terms of America has increased from around 1 in 7 nationwide since 2005. That's a massive increase. This has very real health consequences to children, and one of the sadder things that is pointed out in this documentary is just how many kids have teeth that are rotten because of their poor eating habits. Let's get into it, but first, let me tell you about...
That's also one. A lot of people neglect their dental health. I heard that this is a stereotype for the British. Apparently, they have bad teeth. I don't know if that's true or not.
Today's sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is the world's first news comparison platform with the goal of making all news more honest and transparent. Every day, the website compares thousands of news articles across the political spectrum to help you get the least biased and most informed experience of current events. Each article is rated on the bias of the news source and how factual or honest that news source is overall. Also, the owner of the news organization is displayed so that you know who you're getting your information from. Ground News' mission statement is to decrease political polarization, help get rid of echo chambers, and increase media literacy in the general population so that people are more difficult to manipulate. My favorite Ground News tool is the Blind Spotter. The Blind Spotter allows you to type in the Twitter handle of the creators that you watch and check to see what their political bias is based on who they follow and who they interact with. This tool allows you to see who is more balanced in their political interactions and who is more on the extremes. You can also sign up to check your own news bias, which can help you balance out your information diet. Check out Ground News and the Ground News Blind Spotter by clicking on the links in the description. Alright, these clips come from a British documentary called Junk Food Kids that was released in 2015. It covers somewhere around 8 children, but we're only going to focus on 2 children because their stories have the best lessons in them. The first one is 4-year-old Tallulah.
One of the patients at the Leeds hospital is 4-year-old Tallulah, who lives with her mum, Natalie.
I'll bring them.
She's about to start school, but it's hard to find a uniform that will fit.
This is so sad because you know Tallulah...
This is a 4-year-old girl. A 4-year-old shouldn't be that big. A 4-year-old shouldn't be that big. 4? I've seen like a 7-year-old be that big, but I've never seen a 4-year-old be that big. Oh my goodness. No! This girl is getting punished for life.
Tallulah is going to get bullied because of her parents' screw-up. She's only 4, so it's not her fault she's overweight. The second kid is 13-year-old Pavia.
At 19 stone, Pavia's case is serious, so she's being seen by Dr. Mushtaq, who runs the clinic.
For those of you who aren't British, 1 stone is 14 pounds, so that's 266 pounds at 13 years old. Personally, if I was this girl's
266 pounds. Let's transfer that over to kilograms. This girl is around 50 kilograms heavier than me. This is 120 kilograms for a 13-year-old. What the fuck?
parent, I would be absolutely flipping out and doing everything I could to fix this problem. Outside of Pavia's situation, the sad thing is that in this documentary, it really seems like a lot of the parents just don't care. Speaking of, here's Tallulah's mom.
Yeah, 8 to 9 years. We'll have a try this one.
You got this?
It's a bit tight. I think even that might be a push, Tallulah. Last couple.
Wait. A uniform that's for 8 to 9-year-olds doesn't fit on a 4-year-old? Yeah, we're cooked.
For years, she's piled loads of weight on.
But I'll have to get a bigger size.
Adults that I know have said that she's fat. It absolutely heart-wrenched me.
It can't really be all that heart-wrenching because you're laughing when you're...
Because the truth is, she's fat. And you are fat too. Her eating habits will change when you change your eating habits.
4-year-old child can't fit into a uniform that's for 9-year-olds.
But I'll have to get a bigger size.
So I don't really think Tallulah's mom, Natalie, is all that serious about this, particularly considering that Tallulah's weight is not her only problem. She actually has a much more severe problem with her dental hygiene because several of her teeth have gone completely rotten and she is in constant pain because of it. What's worse is that this is actually not that uncommon of a problem in the UK. Here's a doctor saying how many teeth he's seen being removed.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably in excess of 7,000 teeth. It might even be approaching 10,000 teeth a year.
I believe that's just at the clinic.
10,000 teeth a year. 10,000 teeth a year. Let's calculate that. How many people that is. So the average human should have 32 permanent teeth, okay? 32. Let's highball this, okay? Let's highball this. Let's give this a highball. Fine. Let's give this a highball, right? Let's say it's actually maybe 10K on the highest. Right? That is an average of 312.5 humans if they lost all their teeth. And on 7,000, let's lowball this back to 7,000. This would be 200. This would be 218 people. This is about 219 people without their teeth. God damn, bro.
Clinic he works at. Now, I'm not going to show any of it because it was traumatizing to watch, but honestly, I have no idea how these doctors can do these surgeries and not lose their minds. This is definitely not something I could do for a living, particularly when they have to watch the kids wake up in pain because of something their parents did. I would be screaming at the parents for allowing this to happen to their kids, especially someone like this dad who has already watched his daughter lose her teeth and is now about to watch his son lose his teeth due to eating too much sugary junk food. And then he's like, hey, after the surgery, let's feed him the same food that just caused his teeth to rot.
It's 7 a.m. and in a few hours, 4-year-old Adam will have surgery to remove his decayed baby teeth.
Okay, it's baby teeth. That's still... They're baby teeth. But to be fair, this will probably transition to adult teeth as well. We're cooked.
In a lot of pain.
Be alright after a few hours. Just give him a few sweets and take his mind off it.
I don't think these parents actually care about their kids, and that's why this stuff happens. Sure, they'll say they care about their kids when they're around other...
Stop feeding your child sweets. Stop feeding your children sweets. If there's one thing we can definitely take from Japan, it is their eating habits. What?
The people are there in front of a camera, but when you look at the fruits of their labor, you can see the truth. Parents can lie, but kids never lie. You can always see the reality of a situation by looking at the kids. Or you can see the truth in situations like this. Tallulah has problems with her teeth, and she, at 4 years old, has chronic pain because she has abscesses in her gums. Despite her daughter being in pain, Natalie misses Tallulah's dental appointment by a pretty significant margin.
Today,
Abscesses in her gums. Abscesses in her gums.
Natalie has to take Tallulah to see the hygienist. It's an appointment they have to attend before the hospital will see Tallulah. But it starts in 10 minutes, and it's 8 miles away.
We've woke up late. Well, it's 25 past. I have to be there at 1:30, and it'll take most of about half an hour on bus.
You can say this is heart-wrenching all you want, but when your daughter is in pain and you miss her doctor's appointment...
This mother's retarded. Where is the dad? Where is the I'm not seeing a dad, and that's a red flag. Where is the father?
appointment because you're irresponsible, I don't believe you actually care. Because people who care are willing to deal with the inconvenience of making sure they wake up on time. Natalie clearly does not want to be a parent.
So as she got older, it went from formula to cow's milk to juice. Now, I know that's my fault, but it was easier for me on a night to give her a bottle of juice than to try and sit up with her all night and try and get her back to sleep.
Well, at least she takes some responsibility here by saying that maybe she shouldn't have done that. But what it really
yeah, and what this really comes down to, she's just lazy. She just doesn't want to be a mother. Who is giving these women? Who is giving these people babies? Who is doing that?
Comes down to is that Natalie wants everything to be easy and doesn't want to work hard, which is why all these bad things keep happening. It's really astounding to watch how little Natalie is willing to sacrifice for her children.
I like to just have an easy life. I think everybody likes an easy life.
I think a lot of people desire an easy life, but the people who sit down on the couch all day and watch TV are never happy.
Yeah, but not giving a rat's ass doesn't make your life easy. You just ignore the things. Your life would be easy if you would actually easier if you actually would take care of your child. Because now if you do all of this and your child's in pain and suffering and you do permanent damage to her.
The happy people are the ones who go out, do stuff, and get stuff done. Happiness requires work. Also, pro tip on that clip before the last one, fruit juice is not healthy for you. You can look at the sugar content. Most of the popular fruit juices have so much processed sugar in them that it's basically a soda without the carbonation. If you want to be healthy, your main drink should be water. That being said, let's talk about what Natalie feeds her kids. This is what Tallulah eats for her dinner, and holy crap, that is basically...
That is an adult's meal, isn't that? Essentially. Juice once in a while is okay, if, and only if, I think, you make it yourself. Grab a bunch of apples, turn them into juice. Grab a bunch of, oranges, turn them into juice. Get a juicer for oranges, that's pretty fine.
As much as I eat for a meal, and I am at least 3 times her size. We have a large baked potato loaded with chicken and baked beans. That is a ton of food for a 4-year-old, and remember, this is a single meal. This girl is likely having 3 meals of this size every day, plus snacks. Her brother has a similarly oversized meal as well. Remember, Natalie says she cares about her.
You do not care about your child. At least not to the degree you say you do. Oh my goodness.
Kids. Did she take the time to investigate what a proper portion size is for a 4-year-old? It doesn't seem like it. Natalie seems more content to blame her lack of effort on genetics.
I cannot see a problem with everything that I give her. I honestly do not believe she's put all this weight on just through what she eats.
Well, that's how you put weight on. If you don't eat anything, you can't get fat. I don't think there's a single sickness out there. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a single sickness out there that makes you fat without eating anything. I don't think that's the case. I'm sorry. That just doesn't work. Sorry. You're not gonna put in 300 calories, and they're magically will turn into 600. That's not gonna happen.
Thyroid. They said it might be something to do with that.
The editors of this are hilarious. They show this little girl eating a massive meal, followed by her mom saying, "I don't think there's anything wrong with what she eats." You know they did that on purpose. For one, thyroid problems are rare, and 2, it's actually pretty easy to test for thyroid issues. It's a blood test and an ultrasound that both take no more than a few minutes and cost very little. This stuff is not that hard to investigate. So is it really a thyroid issue, or are you just using that as an excuse? Oh, and I'm sure the problem with her daughter's teeth is also because of her thyroid, right?
That hurts me. That hurts me. That hurts me. All of them hurt me.
I don't know how Natalie could do this to her kid. Tallulah is complaining that her teeth hurt, and yet Natalie misses the appointment, which resulted in her daughter having to deal with the pain for an additional month before she got to see a doctor, and then Natalie has the audacity to say, "Well, it's not anything I'm doing, it's genetics." Again, it's really shocking to see how much suffering people will cause themselves, and more importantly, other people, simply because they don't want to put in a little work. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. This is a really prevalent problem. Tons of people do bad things simply because
just because your child does not appear to be visibly in pain. Same with pets. Does not mean that they're not in pain. Doesn't the UK have something like child protective services, something like that? How is nobody noticing this and going after these parents?
they don't want to work hard and simply because they don't have discipline.
Though, even if they did, there's probably a lot of those parents, so they would just be straight up overworked in this case.
I gotta get him something to eat quickly, just for while we're going round so they don't whinge and moan at me. Yeah, you getting one of those?
Soy sauce.
And soy sauce.
What's in that again?
Cheese and onion. I reckon it's got a bit of mayonnaise in it or something as well.
Okay. Did she just open? Did she just open the food straight up in the supermarket? Did she do that? Interesting.
Wait, did she pay for that stuff? Is she one of those people who, like, eats the food in the store before paying? Does she have any ability to delay gratification at all? She's certainly teaching her kids not to be able to wait. I'm going to buy them food to eat in the store so they don't bother me while I'm shopping. You do know the reason they complain about not being able to snack on food in the store is because you haven't taught them self-discipline, right? You are literally making the problem worse by constantly appeasing them every time they complain. Geez, she's as bad as a parent who raises their kid with an iPad. Her kids are full-blown addicts. Her whole modus operandi is, I don't want to have to do anything stressful by dealing with any negativity from my kids, so I'm just going to let them grow up with a myriad of health problems.
Yeah, just feed the kid fat. Just do it at this point. There are sicknesses that do that and some meds that make you do that. I personally have meds that have this effect, but that should mean stricter diet, more exercise, not ignorance. As far as I'm aware, there's no medication that makes you fat just by taking the medication itself. As far as I'm aware, there's a side effect like slower metabolism or more appetite. That is what I know of. But there's no medication that makes you fat. And I also don't think there's any sicknesses that just by having these sicknesses makes you gain weight. I think most of it is just you not giving a shit about your diet when you have those.
It's really gross to see how lazy this mother is. And also, she comes off like this is all a...
That's what I meant by that. Like, you can't create energy from nothing. You can't create fat from nothing if you have nothing to make you fat.
Joke. She thinks this stuff is funny.
I always try, like every night, every tea time, to cook a proper home-cooked meal.
Do you use kind of convenience stuff then? How much of it would you say?
About 90%.
90% convenience?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's convenient. And they want feeding now. They want...
It's convenient! Let's make them fat because it's convenient! Hi, what's this about? Hi, GT, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. This is about kids getting fat.
It's feeding yesterday, not in a 2 hours time.
Notice how they showed Natalie's son drinking juice, which basically says that she's not actually remorseful about damaging her daughter's teeth in the past by giving her that kind of drink. But great. What does her constantly buying convenience foods teach her kids? It teaches them to not be able to wait for things. It gives them zero ability to deal with suffering or struggle, and that's going to cause them all sorts of problems when they grow up. They certainly aren't going to learn how to cook, and outside of having poor health, it will prevent them from getting a job. Job training requires lots of patience, hard work, and discipline, of which they'll have none of because their mom didn't teach it to them as children. So they'll be massively disadvantaged, and if they want success, then they'll have to learn that stuff as an adult, which will cost them years of their lives. Or they'll just become welfare flunkies, which is a lot more likely. They'll also have trouble making good friends because laziness and whining aren't seen as attractive personality traits. Doing stuff like this will make it very hard for Natalie's kids to make friends.
You're both not getting no chocolate, no sweets, no nothing. Sometimes I think to myself, no, I shouldn't give in. You're not having Kinder eggs. But I do. Go and get a Kinder egg each, quickly.
This woman has no backbone. This woman has no backbone. None, zero, nothing. This woman has a negative backbone. I don't even think this woman has bones. Good, got my second A rank, nice.
I get a lot of messages from viewers, and after all the people who have told me they don't have friends, stuff like this makes my head spin. Now Natalie is stuck with those kids, so the crying and complaining works. When they try that stuff with friends, the friends are just going to stop talking to them.
You're just enabling them. You're just training them that if they whine enough, they can get what they want. That's not gonna fly as an adult. Oh my goodness. Remember, guys, if your kid isn't properly socialized by a certain age, it will never be properly socialized. You cannot properly socialize an adult.
And they won't be able to make new ones. It's all just sad because I know lots of kids are raised in similar situations, and this is a part of the reason why they can't keep people around them when they get older. So Tallulah's story ends with dental surgery that, again, I'm not going to show because it was very hard to watch. Her mom, Natalie, says I'll try harder now after seeing the surgery, which I don't really believe because it's one thing to say that you'll try, but it's another thing to actually put in the effort. There's no evidence that Natalie has the ability to work hard or was moving in that direction by the end of the documentary. Now, the second story has quite a bit more hope than Tallulah's story because unlike Tallulah, it seems that Pavia's mom actually cares about her and is trying, but simply doesn't know what to do. Here's Pavia's mom, Claire.
5 miles outside Leeds, 13-year-old Pavia has brought some friends home for tea. Her mum Claire knows her daughter's weight is getting out of control.
The last 2 years has been the worst.
I don't think that being heavier than an adult man you could consider out of control. I don't think that being 50 kilograms heavier than me you can consider out of control. This is a 13-year-old girl, by the way. My mother tried to teach me that sometimes it's okay to open things in stores, specifically with ice cream, since these melt. She failed because I have a weird fear of opening things while I'm in the store. I don't get people that want to open things in the store. That's not normal. You are not normal when you do that. Just saying.
I know she's put on 4.5 stone this last year.
Oh my God, 4.5 stone? That's over 60 pounds in 1 year. Imagine if that pattern continues. What happened here? Well, if you look at what they eat, it's all processed junk. Spaghetti and tomato sauce, and like it's plain spaghetti. No vegetables except for a few chunks of tomatoes. Did they eat a salad before this? Did they have any fruit? Did they have any organ meats or something? All you can really see Pavia eating in this documentary is junk food like ice cream, gummy bears, and soda, which leads to this.
Pavia doesn't seem to have an off button. She does always seem to be hungry.
Of course she can't stop eating. She's eating a bunch of super addictive crap. Now, allow me to tell you a personal story. I eat fast food on very rare occasions, mostly because I don't really like it. Anyway, the other day I had fast food for the first time in a while. I think it was like a 900-calorie meal. After that meal, all I could think of for around 4 to 5 hours was eating more food, which is not the case.
That is what this food does. It's high in sugar, which makes it more addictive. It's just in general with sweeteners. I mean, sugar is a sweetener, but there's probably more in there. Just artificial other stuff, spices, whatever, right? Just to make it more addictive. That's how it works. The last time I ate fast food was proper fast food. Things that are considered fast food. That's a good question. I don't know.
With normal food. When you eat stuff with high fructose corn syrup, heavily processed oils, lots of salt, or whatever other addictive substances they put in highly processed foods, that stuff makes you want to eat constantly. It's one of the reasons why removing processed foods from your diet and moving more towards cooking your own meals is so important for weight loss. Cooking your own food is not so much about the calorie count, it's more about being able to control what's in your food so you aren't drugged into constantly feeling the need to eat. But all of this begs the question that I asked in the beginning. How does Pavia afford all this food?
Can I have a double apple cone, please? Thank you. What's in there? What did you buy today?
I bought chicken tikka sandwich, my crisps, Haribo's, a double decker and a drink, but I'm saving the double decker for later and the Haribo's. So.
How does she buy this? This gotta be some pocket money kind of thing, right? There's no way you can buy it like a boss. Interesting, like the final boss of getting your kid into an early grave, I guess.
If you don't give her money, then she can't buy food. Easy weight loss program. Now, it would be wonderful if it was all that.
Also, I only see the mothers. I think I one time saw the dad, but aside from that, I only see the mothers. Where is the father? Where are the dads? I would even argue that some foods are more addictive than alcohol, especially since you need food to live, so you have to consume something. And a lot of people forget it's addictive. Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, you are actually onto something. I mean, there's a lot less alcoholics than there is fat people. So actually, you are in fact correct. You don't even have to argue. You are definitely, at least from what we can see, definitely correct with that assumption.
That's simple, but the reality is that Pavia's mom is also overweight. So what will happen is the mom will tell her daughter to lose weight, and it comes off as quite hypocritical because the mom is obese as well. Like in the My 600 Pound Life video that I did. Maya's mom was morbidly obese, while at the same time she was telling her daughter to lose weight because she was more morbidly obese. Being around someone who has worse problems than you doesn't make your problem go away. They both needed to lose weight. So what will happen in this kind of situation where the parent also has a weight problem is the mom will say lose weight, she'll plan the meals and cook something healthy, but then she'll buy snacks and junk food for herself, which the kids will find and eat. Here's a different kid from the documentary describing that.
Sarah's mum, Kashmir, works nights as a contract cleaner. So every evening she leaves her daughter in the care of her older sister, and with the run of the house.
In my mum's secret cupboard, we have chocolate, crisps, caramels, candy, lollipops, every sweet thing in the world.
This girl's mom wants her to lose weight, yet the mom fills the house up with junk food in a night.
This reminds me of yesterday's video. The anti-corn woman that does OnlyFans. The person telling you to lose weight, but having all the stuff that makes you fat around.
Not so secret pantry, and the kid loots it when the mom goes to work. To which she must know her kid's doing that because the food is missing. That's her cue to stop buying junk food. But of course, the mom blames the food instead of herself, which is almost a requirement of this lifestyle because if she wasn't in denial, then her daughter wouldn't have a weight problem.
To give me an idea of what you think's responsible for.
This is like driving a car and then using the phone and then causing an accident. Instead of blaming yourself, you blame the phone or the car. Can't do this anymore.
For her weight?
Well, it's school meal, yeah. That's why.
School meals?
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
And what about any snacking?
She like crisps, she like chocolate. Especially when I'm not home.
Yeah.
She found place wherever I hide it, she's found it the place and she eats.
Of course. If you don't buy it, if it's not in the cupboard,
yeah,
she can't find it.
Right. Stop buying your kid a mountain of junk food. You have the control. And as a warning, if you don't teach your kids to control their behavior when they're young, then they'll grow up with all kinds of psychological problems. In the next segment, we can see Pavia's mom taking her to the clinic to get a checkup and some counseling on her weight issues. During this meeting, you can immediately see another big part of the problem in the medical industry, which is that many of the healthcare professionals are terrible at communicating to their clients.
Do you know why you're here, Pavia?
Not really.
You might have a little clue. You can usually gauge quite quickly whether you're going to have a productive consultation or not.
This girl does not give a rat's ass. And neither does the mother. This girl, and also not the mother, gives a rat's ass about what's going on.
Okay, so we have another iPad kid, and you can see Pavia is immediately checked out, followed by the doctor just giving up on her by suggesting in the post-interview that he knew this meeting wasn't going to be productive. From a professional perspective, this is the doctor's fault because he is obviously not training himself in communication techniques that will get his patients to listen. I know Pavia is on her phone here, but this guy's not even trying to make eye contact with her. He is instead nervously looking at his binder. Come on, man, this is your profession. Also, here's the thing. I've said before that I talk to a lot of people about how to be successful in creative fields. Most of the time when I'm doing these talks, it's not about whether or not I have the right information. I know I have the right information because I have the YouTube data to back it up. Most of my job helping people is actually catered towards convincing them that what I tell them will get them what they want. Though I can't entirely blame them, I work the same way as well. A while ago, I hired a Japanese teacher. She said, "Do this if you want to be fluent." I said no and proceeded to not improve for several months. Then I finally did what she told me to do and said, "Oh my God, you were right. I should have done what you said from the start."
Classic. Fuck you, I'm gonna do it my own way. A classic. This girl using her phone while with a doctor. Yes. Yes, she does. I could never do that. This would be so awkward. I could never do that. I would never do that. That is so weird.
Understand that when you're trying to teach people things, you need to spend time convincing them that what you say will work, or they will not listen to you. The way you do that is a little indirect. First, if you're trying to convince someone to lose weight, it's a good idea to not be overweight yourself. Because if you are overweight, what do you know? That's why Pavia won't listen to her mom. Second, don't do what her mom does here.
You're obviously here because of your weight.
Yeah.
And it's not just a little bit high, it's very, very high. That's distracting with that phone.
Can you just put the phone away, please? I'm not wasting any more time with this.
Right, anyway.
That was super awkward. Obviously, Pavia doesn't want to be there, and all the doctor does is state information that Pavia has probably had other people tell her a million times.
I think she knows this. I think she knows and feels that she is fat. Like in first job, it's not my fault for being late. It's the boss who was late. And then you learn harsh reality that you're supposed to go up early and take into consideration about late bus. The eye roll true. Well, sometimes you actually can't do anything, right? Sometimes you actually can't do anything. Like, if the bus is usually on time and then it just isn't, well, what are you going to do about it?
Worse, Claire had to forcefully take away Pavia's phone, which is only going to piss her off and further make it so she doesn't listen. In that situation, the goal is to get Pavia to voluntarily put down her phone. So how do you do that? Well, you need to show the person that you care. Instead of starting out the conversation with, "Obviously you know why you're here," say, "Hi Pavia, how are you? Why have you come to see me today?" Whatever she answers, you make the conversation all about her and what she wants, because if you don't know what a person wants, then you won't be able to convince them to change their behavior. People only really change their behavior for two reasons: to get something they want or to avoid something they're afraid of. Proper influencing should include both. But you can just see that neither the doctor or the mom have considered Pavia's interests, because the whole conversation is about them and not her.
She's obviously bigger than me. It is hard at home. It's very hard at home.
No,
I desperately want to help her.
How do you think we could help you, Pavia?
Of course she's going to be dismissive and not answer that question. Help her with what? You haven't asked her what she wants help with. She might not even be able to articulate what she wants all that well because no one has asked her. So she might be missing crucial communication skills. Also, like I said, the real problem here is that this doctor completely has the right advice, but is unable to get her to listen.
Your weight is...
Are you telling me that we need to send doctors to social training, communication training, whatever you want to call it? Is that what we need? Yeah, sometimes, but still results on you. If you're late, it's on you. Well, you sometimes just can't control it, right? For example, here in Germany, if one train is late, all of them will be. And that's not a joke. One train's 10 minutes late. And for the entire day, every single one is 10 minutes late. That's, for example, how our system is created. Not for buses, but for trains.
I think there's one thing with being overweight, and another thing with the weight still continuing to go up rapidly. I think the first step is always to keep the weight the same. Have the motivation to do that, and then after that, just start getting it down.
Yes, as a person who was formerly in the fitness industry, this is exactly what I would say to someone in Pavia's situation. First, we need to get you to the point where you aren't gaining weight, and after, we can focus on losing weight. You always want to achieve big goals with small steps, but she's not going to listen to that because they haven't framed it to cater to something that she wants. Influencing someone to change is a mixture of knowing what the person wants and telling them how what you're saying will get them what they want. And it turns out that Pavia actually is aware of some of her desires.
She'll just nag on about how my weight worries her, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you don't need to keep saying it every 4 seconds of my life. You don't see me nagging on at her about her weight, do you? To be honest, I think school's more important than health and weight, because I'd rather be an overweight with a job and a good house and things than be an overweight tramp, if you know what I mean.
Okay, so now we know what Pavia values. She values not being a loser. Now, we don't have this information, but if I were talking to her, I would also ask her why she values not being a loser. Who's she trying to not be like? Because then, not only do I know what she wants, I know what she fears. I can use that information to better guide her to where she wants to go. Plus, her revealing what she fears is an indicator that she trusts you, which means she's more likely to listen. So based on this information, I need to talk to her about how losing weight will lead her to success. First, I would start off by saying that these things aren't mutually exclusive. You can be a healthy weight and be successful at the same time. It doesn't need to be one or the other. In fact, healthy habits are actually a component of success because tons of people who could have been successful become complete losers because they are a victim to their bad behaviors. If you want financial success, then it's going to be very hard to save up money or invest if you're spending all of your money on junk food.
Very true, very true. Yeah, I think the girl has poor social skills, the mom has poor social skills, and the doctor also most certainly has poor social skills. And then you get whatever this is.
Particularly if you add other expensive habits to that like smoking and drinking. Usually addicts have multiple addictions, so having multiple expensive bad habits is likely. Learning how to discipline your spending habits from learning how to discipline your calorie intake is very useful for success later in life. That's the kind of energy you want when you're trying to convince people, and the good news is that there are people in this documentary who are aware of that.
Near Leeds, Claire's meeting Paul Gately, an expert on obesity in children from outside the NHS.
Did you hear that? He works outside of the government-subsidized healthcare system in the UK. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, here's Paul having a sit-down talk with Pavia over a meal.
School all right? You enjoy school?
Sometimes.
What bits do you enjoy?
Science.
And?
History.
Right. What else?
The dinner hall.
The dinner hall? Did you just say that? I think so.
Very good. He's asking her about the things that she values. This is the key difference between Paul and the doctor who consulted with her at the obesity clinic. You can also notice that he's putting in a much greater effort to make eye contact with Pavia than the doctor did. Now, you can still see that Pavia is quite pissy and dismissive, but she's actually answering questions here, so we've made progress. She has a serious problem with anger and looks mad this entire documentary, so later they'll need to address why she's so angry all the time, but only after they have built trust. So she's not just suffering with issues of her weight, she also has mental health issues, which really is always the case with obesity.
So your mum said to help you with your weight, do you think you need any help?
No.
Well, that wasn't a very convincing no.
Well, how do you make a no more convincing?
Is it okay if I chat to your mum about it?
You can, but I don't want to talk to her about it.
Again, very good. Paul is testing the waters here and asking questions about what Pavia feels is acceptable behavior, so he knows more about how she likes to be treated and what her boundaries are. Knowing this information allows Paul to behave in a more desirable way, which will cause Pavia to respect him.
I mean, at the end of the day, we do know the one who's at fault here. Like, we do. Like, this didn't just start a year ago or whatever. We know the one who is responsible for her reaching this point, right? It's the mother. Because the mother has bad habits and basically contracted her problems to her daughter like a virus, which is obesity in this case.
Influencing 101, by the way, people will not listen to you if they don't respect you. This is not shown, but Paul has clearly already earned the respect of Pavia's mom, so when he gives Claire advice, she listens.
The chances of her changing her weight trajectory are really low.
Okay.
90% of kids who become obese don't change that.
That's almost like saying she's got no hope.
That's the reality of most circumstances for teenagers.
It makes me feel a bit of a shit parent, to be fair.
Unlike Pavia,
at least you're feeling the remorse. To be fair, you kind of are a shit parent. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. At least you care, more care in comparison to like the first two candidates, but goddamn, man. Well, mama, chop chop, maybe you yourself have to put up. You have to start your journey as well.
Yeah, you can see that Claire is making eye contact, is attentive, and even gets emotional after something Paul says. This means that she is listening and willing to be influenced. Also, notice that Paul is using fear as a motivator here by telling Claire the reality of her situation. And quick side note, obviously I mean use fear as a motivator in proper moderation. On the negative end, fear-mongering is unacceptable, and on the positive end, giving people false hope as a motivator is not acceptable either. Now, it's hard to hear what Claire says in this clip, at least for me because I'm an American, so I had to listen to this part multiple times to figure out what she was saying. That's why it's subtitled. But she says, "It makes me feel like I'm a shit parent." This is Claire taking responsibility for how Pavia has turned out, and it's a pretty key difference between her and Natalie's behavior with her 4-year-old daughter, which was much more of a result of her being lazy. Natalie knew what the right thing to do was, but she refused to do it because it was too hard. Whereas with Claire, it seems like her daughter Pavia's weight really bothers her, and she's willing to put the work in, but she simply doesn't know what to do. Anyway, next Claire takes Paul's advice from that previous clip, which was a conversation about boundaries, and then goes to have a talk with Pavia to set those boundaries. In this conversation, you can see that unfortunately, Pavia has zero respect for her mother and listens to nothing.
I would like you just to put the laptop down.
I'm kind of busy, so...
I know, darling, but I would like you to put the laptop down, please.
No, because it keeps my knees warm.
Yeah, either put it down whilst I'm talking to you, or you...
Yeah, zero, none. She does not care. Yeah. That is resentment. That is definitely resentment. Second that you watch that plays UAE, you should travel there someday with a girlfriend. Not happening. You know, Emirates have a lot of skyscrapers. It's a rich country and many amusement parks. There's theme parks, Ferrari World. There's rides, food, games. Your girlfriend will enjoy it, including Legoland. I for real do not care. Also, I would not just have the money for that ever. Probably.
You'll lose it
I can
altogether.
listen to you. I'm not stupid, so I can understand what you're saying whilst I'm on this.
Okay, put it down now. Thank you.
Yeah, you can really see the difference between Claire and the lazy mom Natalie in this scene. You can see on her face that Claire realizes that she's screwed up in parenting when her daughter treats her like this. So on a positive note, because Claire is admitting fault here, this situation is very likely to improve. Now personally, I would not have done this conversation this way. Claire doesn't have the power to set those boundaries that Paul suggested, so she needs to build that before she can start making demands. The most obvious thing she can do to gain power and build respect is lose weight. It looks like she had started on that during the documentary, but she needs to be thin for a while before respect from her daughter will build. Second, she can set boundaries indirectly by refusing to buy or cook unhealthy food for her daughter. That's a nice little cheat code because it allows her to set a boundary without her daughter having to do anything, which means Pavia can't reject this kind of...
I have to say, the best way to make your child drop their bad habits is to drop them with them. If your kid has a problem with the exercise and diet, with weight, exercise and diet with them. That's the thing, right? If you want bad habits to disappear with your child, just do them, remove them yourself, because like you have them too. And dieting yourself, like your habits will be reflected on the child once again. Like, what is she gonna do if the mother just makes less food because she now eats less? You'll have to adapt. What are you gonna do? Your healthy lifestyle would then reflect onto her too.
A boundary like she did with the other ones.
So first and foremost, I want to get your sleep pattern sorted out so that you're not up all night relying on energy drinks and stuff through the day. I don't want you eating in your room anymore. Just not acceptable.
Well, maybe I don't want to start sitting at the table just because somebody said I have to.
Did you catch what she said here? Maybe I don't want to sit at a table just because someone said I have to. She's telling her mom how to influence her. Pavia is correct. She shouldn't have to sit at the table just because someone said so. She should be sitting at that table because someone is making it enjoyable for her to be there. So being more enjoyable to be around is something that Claire needs to work on. You can notice this stuff if you just pay attention to what people say and watch their behaviors. Pavia gave her mom the answer to get her to sit at the table. Also relevant to this scene, generally when you're trying to influence people, you want to give them as few things to do as possible. All big and meaningful changes start with small steps towards the goal, which means any boundary change you request of someone should be very small, and honestly, you should be doing most of the work to make the boundary change happen at the start. This is not directly related, but I think it helps with a metaphor. If we are talking about living with roommates, and your roommate does something that pisses you off, the ideal situation is that your roommate does his best to not do the thing that pisses you off, while at the same time you try not to get so pissed off when he does that thing. The change happens when both of you work together. You can't just make demands of people, you also have to put the effort in. Third, better.
So basically what you're saying is that when she essentially goes into a room and she eats in her room, basically you set the boundary that she's not supposed to eat in the room. But when she does, you're just not going to get as mad as you could be.
Better handling of situations like this will help.
Claire planned to have a sit-down family lunch, complete with Betty, her mother, and her new partner, Michael.
I'm full. You're full? What have you had to eat beforehand to make you so full?
Well, ice cream. With my olive.
Already?
Yeah.
If you're done, you're done.
And then don't make me stay. Because I'm not hungry anymore.
Okay. Bye.
In this situation, Claire needs to take the loss and accept that she failed to get her daughter to eat properly without snacking on unhealthy food, but she can still salvage it by getting Pavia to stay at the table. Instead of bullying Pavia by saying, "Why are you full? What junk did you eat?" Ask her, "Well, even though you're full, can you stay and chat with us for a few minutes before you go upstairs? Tell us about your day." Listen to the boundaries that Pavia set earlier. She doesn't like people constantly bringing.
Let your daughter yap, especially since sometimes it can feel for a child like a parent is mocking them, making them eat a salad while you eat a KFC bucket, making them exercise while you sit on the couch will not help. Yep. You're antagonizing a person if you, in this case, would dangle with like all the junk food in front of them while you eat that junk food and they're gonna eat the less satisfying stuff. Makes sense. You can't dangle. You can't make your child do something else while you dangle in front of them with the thing that they want to do. That makes no sense. I think, but that is just a general overrule.
Up her weight. So if you can steer the conversation away from that, then you can get her to sit down and have lunch with you for at least a few minutes longer than she would have. That's a big deal. Pavia is really lost during this documentary. Claire needs to be taking any small victory that she can get. I think she gets frustrated because she expects her daughter to start fixing her weight problem immediately, when the reality is that it's probably going to take 6 months of relationship building before Pavia is ready to even consider making a strong effort to lose weight. I think Claire's behavior during lunch more so describes everyone's ignorance about difficult situations like these. In the end, it looks like the obesity expert Paul was able to work this situation out well enough to get Pavia to stop gaining weight, which is a good start.
Oh, buddy, move up. I'm not really worried about my size at the moment because I do a lot.
Cool. To be fair though, I don't know how effective horse riding is, but then again, you do you. A little bit be more active is being more active.
Lots of exercise and stuff, so it should go away pretty quickly.
What you want after this is a move towards losing 1 to 2 pounds per week, which will put her at a proper weight in about a year or two. Yes, proper weight loss does take that long. You can either do it correctly or yo-yo diet for a bunch of years and end up never losing weight. So if you want to be influential, you really have to be patient and bide your time until you have the person's respect. A part of gaining people's respect is having things that they want. It could be that you're really in shape. It could be that you have lots of friends or a good network. It could be that you've accomplished something difficult. You could be super knowledgeable in a field they want to know about. Or it could be really simple, like having a lot of money. Notice that Paul from the documentary is thin. That's a part of the reason why Claire listens to what he says. Understand that all of this is going to require hard work because influencing people is very difficult. But if you want to help people and make the world better, that's what it takes. It's a lot more than simply telling people what to do. Anyway, thanks for watching, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you.
Well, that's the end of the video. What can we take away from this? Children will inherit their parents' problems to a degree. And we definitely need to send doctors to some communication training. And that kids don't listen to people. And I think generally people don't listen to other people that are also doing wrong what they are doing wrong. Which is why I'm also always confused when I see like some health minister being unhealthy. How did that happen? Or some doctor being overweight. How did that happen? What's going on? No. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.